Hey there, Fatherhood for the Rest of Us community. This is Brandon Hanley on with Sam Crowley. We are talking to the Mr. Every Day is Saturday, Sam Crowley. If you haven't picked up his podcast or checked him out, highly recommend it. And today we are doing a special series of a special Fatherhood for the Rest of Us series where we're talking about the book The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. And the book was written in 1903, and it's a pretty awesome book. Pretty. I think I don't know if it's life altering yet, but I mean, just by the very fact that I read the book, I think it's life altering. And Sam Crowley is one of the first people I thought of actually when I read the book. Sam is my coach and mentor, and I had to. I'm reading the book, Sam, and it could have just said Sam Crowley in a lot of those places. So I really thought of you as you read this book, or as I read the book, and I shot you that email. I said, Sam Crowley, this is you, and you replied back and like, hey, I love that book. I read the book a long time ago, and it's been a while. But a few of the topics in the book just make me think of you right off the top of the head. And for anybody who's not familiar with the book, to me it's a little bit like The Science of Getting Rich and Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, but in a more concentrated, usable package. Honestly. So Sam, one of the things that this book talks about a lot is, and it reminds me of you again, is kind of working in faith, right? Having faith in what you're working towards is yours. Do you want to talk about that a little bit and what that means to you?
Yeah, man. Hey, it's great to be on with you, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always love chatting with you. Congratulations on all your success with fatherhood for the rest of us. I think it's great. Anybody talking about being a good dad is always a really great brand to have. Not enough of that. So congratulations to you.
Appreciate that, Sam.
Brandon. Faith that has never been tested can't be trusted. And so a lot of people say, oh, you got to have faith. You really need to have faith. But yet we very rarely test our faith. It's not like we do quit our jobs, and say, I have faith in my ability to do what it is I love to do. We very rarely are we bold enough to go for the things that we really want to do because we understand that life's kind of ticking away and we don't have a lot of time left. So faith to me is a really overused word, but a very powerful for me, it's find answers in the heart is kind of the acronym that I enjoy using with the word faith, because when you get in your head, you're dead. But when you're in your heart, you really start to think, okay, I know I have to have faith in order to do a lot of things. It's a lot like gravity. You can't, people say, well, you can't really see it. Well, you can't see gravity, but why don't you go jump off a 12-story building and you'll believe that gravity is working, So for me, faith is the same thing. I don't put myself in, well, my wife may argue, I don't do a lot of stupid things, but I do a lot of bold things. And I think the difference between stupid and bold is having the discernment and a little bit of experience under your belt. Like I used to do a lot of stupid things, but now I call them bold because I think I've done about everything you can do in the entrepreneurial journey that's really ridiculous and failed on a grand level. But faith is being able to say, all right, I can't see the answer to this. I can't see the ending to this, but I can see about 20 feet in front of me. And use this analogy, Brandon, and a lot of people listening as well. When you go to a restaurant and it's, you go into the restaurant at 7:00 at night, you go in, you have a nice meal, maybe you hang out at the bar ahead of time until you're being seated, and then you have an after dinner drink. A lot of my analogies revolve around alcohol. I don't know why. It's not like I do that on purpose, but so you leave the restaurant at 10:00 at night and it's pitch black dark, but you went in and it was light out, and then it's foggy out and maybe it rained while you were in there. So you get in the car and you're in the parking lot of the restaurant, and you can only see about 20 to 30 feet in front of you, but you're going to just stay on that road. You're confident you're going to get home because you've made that ride before. That's a lot of the things that I think about when I think about faith is if you can see just a day ahead of you, you don't need to see a year ahead of you. You just got to be able to see a day or two ahead of you and understand that what am I doing today that's going to help me tomorrow and the next day? And you got to build momentum around that. So I think faith, momentum, only being able to see a few feet in front of you. Those are the things that I think about when I hear that word. And get out of your head or you're dead, and stop thinking. Just people think themselves out of really great opportunities because of fear and not faith. And faith and fear are exactly the same thing because you believe in something that you can't see. And so you're either going to have a lot of faith because you can't see what's going to happen, or you're going to have a lot of fear and get yourself all worked up over something that probably won't happen. So either way, so if you got to flip a coin, I'll always side on the side of faith.
Yeah. Hey, listen, if I got the opportunity to, I got echo on that.
What's that?
Am I echoing over there, Sam?
No, you're fine.
Okay. If I've got the opportunity to look at something that I have no control over in the future, I'm going to side with faith. You know, why run scared? It doesn't make much sense. I really love the acronym that you use for faith. It's find answers in the heart. Is that what you said?
You got to go to the heart, man. Get out of your head.
Where did you find that one, Sam?
I don't know. Probably an old mentor. I probably paid 10 grand for an hour of his time, and he probably told me that back in the day. So somebody somewhere, or I read it.
It works, man. It works. I love it. I love it. One of the other things that he talks about in this book is working on the creative plane, and I think that really also opened me up. Working on the creative plane versus the competitive plane. Like, so what were your thoughts when you were working with that, and where did you come in out of that?
Well, the creative, it's always better to create than it is to maintain. And by the way, I haven't read The Science of Getting Rich in probably 20 years. So these questions you're asking me, it's not like I just read the book before we came on this Facebook Live. So I'm literally flying 100% off the seat of my pants, which is the only way I really like to roll anyway. So you're asking between creative, and I think of maintaining as the opposite of that. You know, the creative plane, it's way better to create than it is to maintain. For people like go to a job every day, and I'm not anti-job. It's just that where we live, Brandon, in the United States, 80% of the people feel as though their talents are not being utilized to match their passion, you know? And so you and I are doing what we're really passionate about. 8 out of 10 people in the United States, they're not doing what they're passionate about. They're maintaining. They're maintaining their job. They're maintaining their title. They're maintaining their 401k. They're maintaining their IRA. They're driven by all of those things that have nothing to do with significance. I mean, nobody, when they go to their grave, gives a rat's rear end about, you know, how much money they have in their bank account, or nobody sends a holiday greeting card with, hey, by the way, I enclosed a copy of my bank statement here, you know? So, but a lot of the things that you can create are memories, and you can create experiences. So I'm in the business of creating experiences because I was trapped in a job for so long that I didn't really get a chance to, you know? So every day I wake up, and I would love to tell you that I hit a home run every day, but I don't. It's not true. And I would love to tell you that that is, but I try to create some sort of experience on that day that I'll be able to look back at 10 o'clock that night and say, no, that was pretty cool. You know, that was pretty cool. Maintaining, I'm not about that life, man. I'm not about that. And the competitive part, competitive was the other word, right? That you were talking about.
Yeah, competition versus creation. And basically in the book, I mean, if you create something, you can't be competing for something that somebody else already has, because when you create something that is 100% original.
Yeah. Every day is Saturday. Everydayissaturday.com. Look, I'd say I created it. I own that. I mean, I own the domain, I own the trademark and all that good stuff that goes with it. To me, and this is just my faith, and I'm not here to push, but that was a vision that I received from God, and I believe the Holy Spirit lives inside of me, and that's how I run my business. I know I can't lose. I feel like I got the winning hand on everything, you know, because of God and my faith in God. And, you know, oh, by the way, we had a daughter born at 1 pound a few years ago that was born at 24 weeks and managed to come home on a ventilator, got trached. That's faith. And that is vision, and that's believing, you know, in a higher power. So all of that stuff that we're talking about now, you can use it in business. You're right. When you create something, there is no competition. And that's why, you know, Brandon, this is a whole different topic, but you hit on something that's really important. That's why authenticity is so important in marketing, because when you come at it from an authentic perspective, like there's no, and I would encourage people to really think about this line: what we hide controls us. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we talk about pornography, drugs, alcohol, affairs. I mean, can we just keep it real on this, or do we got to sugarcoat stuff?
I don't have sugar handy.
Okay. So we talk about all those things that we keep in the dark. We don't want anybody to know those things about us, and that controls us. Okay.
Right.
But when you move forward and you step into the light, when you shine a light on something, no longer does that control you. So if you really want to step into your greatness, get out of the dark and quit high. And look, there is no condemnation. People aren't looking to go back into the Wayback Machine and condemn you about all the things that you've done in the past and all the bankruptcy, the divorce, the affair, all of that stuff that you went through. What they're looking to do is, where are you going? Where are you going right now? It talk about creating, there is no competition when it comes to authenticity. You might want to write that one down. There is no competition when it comes to authenticity, because when you are who you are, there ain't nobody that can compete with that. You know what I mean?
No. Well, I mean, this is straight from some of the stuff you've been saying recently on Everyday Saturday podcast. Always gold. One of the, just talking about, you can't fail at being yourself, right?
Yeah, it's impossible to do it. But the problem is, most people don't like who they are because they're comparing themselves to something else that they can't do it. Like we're so caught up in what someone, I made $1,000 today, but Johnny made $2,000, so I got to no, it's amazing, man. Or I launched a podcast, but I only got 100 downloads, and Sam's got 1 million. Why would you ever? Expectations kill.
Yeah.
Expectations are we should have zero expectation when we go into a new idea, a new venture, a new relationship. But because we expect things based on some false narrative that we've conjured up in our mind, we get ourselves all worked up and twisted in a pretzel, and we don't even enjoy the journey, man. Expectations are like the water that you throw on the fire of the actual passion of the journey you're on.
I love that. Well, that's the thing, right? So process, which is what everybody says to focus on, is focus on the process, and don't worry about the expectations. And that's something that it's a hard concept to wrap your head around until you've gone through the process, right? Or a process, and realized just what that means. One of the things that I wanted to hit on was that your faith. And I love how much of a believer you are in your faith, and that God wants nothing but the best for you, and you believe that.
I do.
Yeah, and the book. I mean, so the book does talk about that. And it says, "Hey, believe that the universe, God, wants the best for you." And let's talk a little bit to that.
Well, the immediate contrary. Let's talk about the opposite of that. Why is my life so messed up? Why did she leave me? Why did he leave me? Why don't I have money? Why didn't it work out? Why did I get fired from my job? Why did I get in an accident that caused me to be a quadriplegic? I mean, the opposite of everything you just said is the other part of that. And I believe that instead of saying, why me, which we all can very easily do, you say, what's the message? Like, what's the message in all of this? I referenced our daughter being born at 1 pound. She could have very easily died. She should have died. Or she, at very least, she should have cerebral palsy or some sort of, profound neurological disorder. She came home with a trach, and it was a living hell for a couple of years because we have no nursing. And we have 3 older daughters, by the way, 17, 13, and 12, that we got to care for. And yet here we are with no nursing, a baby on a ventilator, just trying to breathe with a trach, trying to breathe through a trach. And instead of saying, why me, my wife and I said, what's the message in this, man? There's got to be a message why we were given a baby at 1 pound, a 24-weeker. My wife's water broke at 23 weeks and she was rushed to the hospital. Why? Like, what's the and now we know. I mean, a book that I wrote called One More Breath. My wife updates the blog on One More Breath on Facebook. She has a lot of micro preemie moms. Like, there's a whole niche of preemie moms out there, and they help each other out, and they don't complain and they don't victimize themselves. They empower each other. And my wife has found her voice. My wife is an introvert and I'm not. Shocker. But she has now found her voice through this One More Breath movement that was extremely challenging. And now these moms look to her for guidance, for advice. How do I feed my daughter gets fed through a G-tube, by the way. So how do you make her meals, and how do you feed her through a G-tube? And, how do you suction her? And what do you do about allergies and all that stuff?